Texas, celebrating our 20th anniversary. It's the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today, the final round of the first jewel in bowling's Triple Crown, the PBA United States Open, an event won by some of bowling's greatest competitors. Years ago, the tournament was called the All-Star. It was dominated by this man, the great Don Carter. In the early 60s, Dick Weber virtually owned this event. He won it 4 times. In 1972, Don Johnson won the Open and became Bowler of the Year. In 1978, Nelson Burton Jr. survived the grueling 56-game format to emerge victorious. And last year, it was Marshall Holman on top. Today, 5 bowlers seek to join this illustrious list of champions on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
I'm going back to Houston.
Yes, it is good to be back in Houston, Texas, back from Japan. Big enthusiastic crowd here as the Bowling Proprietors Association of America is a special host to the United States Open Championship. I'm Chris Schenkel and proud to be a part of this again. And the BPAA represents some 4,200 members, nearly 90,000 lanes in all 50 states and 10 foreign countries. And of course, the U.S. Open is the first of bowling's Triple Crown. This today, then February 27th, will be in exciting Toledo, Ohio, where bowling is really big for the PBA National Championship. Then April 24th, our 16th stop on our tour for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And you know, no one bowler has won all 3 in a single year. So perhaps it will start today for one of the 5 naturally. We have 3 non-winners in the field, 2 winners, 1 a very big one. So let's meet the guys in our field right now. In 5th place, from Mesa, Arizona, the holder of 1 PBA title, Frank Ellenberg. His opponent in the opening match from Milwaukee, Oregon, seeking his first PBA title, Dave Houston. In 3rd place, seeking his first win on the tour from South St. Paul, Minnesota, Charlie Tapp. And in 2nd place, seeking to become only the 3rd bowler in the history to have won each of the tournaments in bowling's Triple Crown from Dublin, California, Earl Anthony. And the tournament leader, 3 times a runner-up, but never a winner on the tour, now from Nashua, New Hampshire, Gil Sliker. Well, there they are, the 5, and we talked about the big money winner and big tournament winner. He's here right now with the man that won the United States Open in 1978, Nelson Burton Jr. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. You know, Earl Anthony's won just about everything there is in the game of bowling except the Triple Crown. And the one thing that has eluded him in the Triple Crown, Earl, is the U.S. Open. Tell us about your misfortunes in the previous title shots.
Well, as you know, I finished 2nd 3 times in this tournament, Bo, and it's really the only tournament I really look forward to bowling in because I want to win it very badly. I haven't bowled as well as I should in the championship round, and I've had some guys shoot some big scores at me. Maybe today I'll get a little luckier.
Well, they've averaged 238 at him in the championship round, Chris, but he feels like the luck is with him today.
So we look for a lot of excitement here. The total purse this week in Houston, Texas, $131,000. Today's winner will receive $21,000 out of that, $11,000 for second, $7,500, 6, and the 5th place finisher will get $5 grand right here in Texas. Stay tuned for our first match. Frank Ellenberg going against Dave Houston. Yes, this week we are in the Lone Star State of Texas. We have Frank Ellenberg, 28 years old, at 6'5", going against 6'2" Dave Houston from Milwaukee, Oregon. Okay, this is Ellenberg. He'll be shooting first on the left lane of our championship pair here at the Big Texan Lanes. Shot number 1, our live telecast from Houston. He liked the conditions on that lane, didn't he?
Well, Chris, all the players that started the championship round here at 56 games last Monday said the lanes are hooking quite a bit. So we're seeing some tall players out there right now at 6'5" and 6'2", and it's the player who can keep the ball speed to keep it from hooking too quickly on the lane.
All right, 21-year-old David Houston looking for his first PBA title on the right lane. And it didn't come up at all, leaving the 2 pin.
a powerful athlete, 6'2". David Houston has great all-around athletic ability, and he emphasizes that with that high backswing, locked arm, good extension, just a little wide on the right lane. Has the 2-pin.
And wasting no time whatsoever. When he got up on the approach, he covers that 2-pin, and they make it look so easy. A little bit later on, while I have a chance, as we look at the stats on Houston, 6'2". He weighs 165, 21 years old. The Rolaids bowling tip of the week with Nelson Burton Jr. will be on the 3-9 and the 3-9-10. So that should help your game. Down the left lane, looking for his first strike. Okay. In the pocket. Back up now, hoping to double, is Frank Ellenberg. 1 PBA title. 7-year member of the PBA. All but the 10-pin on the right lane, Nelson.
Chris, both players said that the lanes are about the same. They're playing between the second and third arrows. You see powerful Frank Ellenberg with that really, really nice stroke. It's almost a textbook stroke. A good extension, full reach. And the ball didn't finish quite as much, but both lanes play about the same.
Cross lane. Ooh, and too much. So it's an open frame for Frank Ellenberg. Tough break, Nelson.
He just slid by the 10-pin, and, you know, Frank's forward is really making spares. He's been great in tough scoring conditions, such as he had here at the U.S. Open, and he always felt that his best thing that he had in his game was making spares, and there he misses a relatively easy 10-pin.
Often called too tall. Well, too wide on that last shot. Mesa, Arizona. His home. And the man that won his first tournament in November in Syracuse leaves the 2-5 on the left lane.
Chris, he's changing balls. He uses a harder ball, a harder shelled outside shell to make the ball slide a little bit more and hopefully avoid the chop.
Ooh, with a lot of speed and power, covering the 2-5. So it is a 12-pin lead held by this man, David Houston. He's got a strike up. He can increase it to 22. He can get a good pocket hit on the right lane. A 5 handicap golfer. Look at the checkpoints he was going through.
Gets a good break. The 2-pin goes to the sideboard and trips out the 4. The 4 falls into the 9. Watch the replay on the right side of your screen. The 2-pin goes to the sideboard. Watch it get between the 4 and the 7. 4-pin does the damage.
So, and earlier when he was warming up, he had Brooklands. He had a little of everything, but he's got all 10 pins in many cases.
Well, this is going to be survival of strength, Chris. All these players are in top-notch physical condition, but they have to. There's wife Michelle, David's young wife. All the players are in top shape, but the lanes require a lot of speed, and you can wear out quickly.
And the 21-year-older has strung free and whizzes out to a 32-pin lead. We're in our first game live from Houston, Texas. There will be more action from the first match. But first, let's take this pause. We'll return. That's right. Next, ABC's Wide World of Sports. Special expanded edition, same-day coverage of that exciting men's world downhill skiing championships from Schladming, Austria. Ladies as well. And the National Figure Skating Championships. Men's and ice dancing competition from Indianapolis. That's today.
Chris, the American teams have really done well over there, too.
Mm-hmm. Frank Ellenberg had his spare up. He was shooting in the 4th frame, trailing by 32, so he needed that one. Earlier, we talked to him and asked him why he has done so well in the past on low-scoring conditions.
Well, I think I do pretty well in low-scoring conditions because I can throw the ball quite hard, and which keeps the ball in play a lot of times when the lanes hook a lot. And I stay away from the opens because I think I'm a pretty good spare shooter.
Well, he missed that 10-pin in the second frame, but it's talking about scoring. The field averaged only 195 here, Chris, and it only took a 199 average to get into money, 60th place.
Cut the lead to 22 with a strike here on the left lane. And he gets it. That should pump him up a little after missing that 10-pin, but somebody that's really fired up is the man next up as we look at the alternate.
The man who finished 6th after 56 games, Phil Ringer.
No pressure on his face.
I think that's the highest finish he has. He's a good-looking young player.
Leading by 22. Remember, he's got 3 in a row. Oh, mixing. 4 in a row. And Nelson, you know well how grueling the test for the United States Open is.
Well, we had 56 games, Chris, and they bowl 8 games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 16 on Thursday, 16 more on Friday, and down to the championship round here on Saturday. And by the way, Chris, you were away for the past week. Where have you been?
Oh, little trip to Japan to do USA-Japan gymnastics, which will be on tomorrow on ABC.
I'll look forward to that.
You're a former gymnast, so watch it. Look at that. 5 in a row.
Houston just overpowering the condition, using that high backswing, that great athletic ability, and just sawed the 5-pin out into the 7 in the 4th, 5th, and 6th frame. He has really put the pressure on tough Frank Ellenberg.
You know, apparently he liked this pair too, Bo, because the average on the championship pair for Houston is 244.
Compared to a 201 for Frank Ellenberg. But this is a good scoring pair, but you have to keep the speed up and discipline that arm swing.
The muscle man. Well, he got a break. So now Ellenberg has a 3-bagger.
We talk about Houston ripping the 5 out. Watch what Ellenberg's answer to that was. Bingo, rips the 4, 5, 7, and blows the 10 out. Say, see you later, Pins. He's cut the lead to 32, can drop it back to 22 with another strike.
Of course, from the front shot, as you see the pin advantage by Houston, you can see how large Ellenberg really is, 6'5", 215.
Tremendously powerful hands. In fact, you saw some tape around his ring finger and baby finger. His right hand, he injured it, and he says it takes the pressure off his hand while he's bowling.
Look at that. Spins are dancing all over the place. So it's a 4-bagger for him and what should be a high-scoring match. This is the man that's trailing by 22, although he's been great. And we'll be back.
St. Louis, meet me at the fair.
Join the Professional Bowlers Tour next Saturday afternoon when the pros travel to the Gateway City on the banks of the Mississippi for the final round of the Rolaids Open. That's next Saturday, back at our regular starting time of 3:30, live on ABC. The Professional Bowling Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
And here's another 6'5" bowler. He's warming up. He'll meet the winner of our first game, Charlie Tapp from South St. Paul, Minnesota. And what a game we have here in our first on our live coverage on the Professional Bowlers Tour from Houston. This is Dave Husted, leading by 22. His opponent has 4 in a row. Dave now has strung 5, shooting in the 7th frame.
Chris, although we said the tournament itself was relatively low scoring, the championship pair, 23 and 24 here at Big Texan, has been a high scoring pair all week. In fact, there's only 1 game under 200 bowled on this pair by the finalists, and that was by Ellenberg, a 167.
Oh, a 10-pin.
He gave it the evil eye.
Action line tracer.
As you can see, the line being played by most of the players today around the 3rd arrow or 15th board. And the ball's not really breaking that much. Right at the back end, it breaks very sharply. The 6 goes around the 10. But that's the tremendous speed that these players are using, somewhere between 19 and 20 miles an hour, that holds the ball on line.
It did come back up. Looked like it might find the channel. Gosh, that little bride is grim.
His mother and father, Champ Houston, and his mother, Kathy, are also came down from Oregon to root their son on to possibly his first PBA title.
There you see his best high was 4th.
There's a tough customer sitting on that bench. David Houston has to keep the pressure on.
And he's back in the pocket, getting that strike. 179 through the 7th, strike in the 8th.
Not much to say about this. Goodbye 10 pins. Perfect hit.
If you just joined us, we are bringing you live from Houston, the United States Open. First jewel in bowling's Triple Crown. 3 weeks in Toledo, PBA National, and then April 24th, the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Ellenberg can cut the lead to 11 pins with another strike.
No, did not come up, leaving the 4-5.
The first bad shot that either player has made, Frank just reared up at the line just slightly as he let the ball go, and having to use a tremendous amount of speed, the ball slides by. He gets a bad break. Watch the head pin go to the sideboard and actually take out the 2-pin, leaving a difficult 4-5 split.
Let's watch now how Ellenberg shoots it. Nope.
That is really tough to convert when you have to throw so hard, Chris. You see the ball from our low angle just sliding by, not biting in and getting the 4-pin. But when you have to throw so hard, it's like any other sport, baseball or even swinging a golf club too hard. The harder you have to do it, the more difficult it is to control.
2 open frames now for big, tall Frank Ellenberg of Mesa, Arizona. His opponent, David Houston. And now high hit, leaving the 4-7.
Frank seemed to have just a little letdown while he's trailing by 35, came up in the 9th frame. Eased off the speed, the ball broke high, 4-7 spare.
All right, that was a 9th frame spare for Ellenberg. Houston is up, leading by 35. Strike working. Shooting down the 9th frame of our first game. The winner to meet Charlie Tapp. The winner of that game to meet Earl Anthony. And then Gil Sliker, the tournament leader. Oh, he's really turning it.
One thing we didn't expect is some real high scores. Now, Houston has a chance for a 260. Now, watch his high backswing and the high roll he has on the ball. Inside out swing, thumb drops down. It's that real high roll up near the thumb and fingers, and that's ideal when lanes are breaking very sharply. Has a possible 269.
Well, he can keep that momentum going now. His opponent, Charlie Tapp, will have his hands full. As we have the winner, we'll give you the final score. Let's pause a few seconds to hear messages from the people who are bringing you this week's stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Brought to you by a new Speed Stick Super Dry Anti-Perspirant. Goes on so dry, you can get dressed right away. And by Foamy, the shave cream that's more than thick and rich enough for a clean, close shave. Now,
to go along with the United States Open title is this magnificent trophy that any professional bowler would certainly love to have in his possession. One of ours will get it today. Okay, next, David Houston goes against Charlie Tapp. The PBT will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and a station identification. We hope you saw David Houston rolled 10 strikes in recording a 269 to Frank Ellenberg's 200. What a hot game. Let's see if that'll continue now as he goes against 30-year-old Charlie Tapp from South St. Paul, Minnesota. The handshake, and Houston will be shooting first. Red-shirted before a lot of his family who've come in from Milwaukee, Oregon.
Chris, David Houston in tremendous physical condition. He's definitely a great all-around athlete. There's one thing we can watch for, though, with that push away he has where the ball comes outside, then wraps around behind his back. It's difficult to control that consistently for an hour and a half. Let's see what happens in this match.
Left lane, first shot. There it is.
He used to have a conventional grip in the ball, holding it very close where the fingers go in the second knuckles, and Houston last year changed to the fingertip grip where it just goes in the first knuckle, and he has found much more success and better pin action.
Though another tall man, 6'5", 200 pounds.
Charlie Tapp has been getting better and better every week. Is a force to be contended with out here on the tour in the last 6 months.
Now that was a high hit.
He gets a good break, but he has a much different style than Houston. The 2-pin, that's the third pin on the left side of your screen, goes to the sideboard. Look at it, hit off that fiberglass sideboard, trips in between the 4-7, gets a good break and a strike. But Charlie Tapp has the down and in or straighter type line ball that we used to see in the 40s and 50s, and Houston's got the contemporary type, the big hook, Chris.
There's a stat, average height, 6 feet 2 inches.
And one of the reasons is the lanes are dry. You need a lot of arc in that arm swing to get the ball down the lane.
A smooth stroke and pocket hit, and it's a double for the man that finished third and was just waiting off to the right to meet the winner of the first game, and this is the winner of the first game, David Houston. 269 in that first match.
For the neophyte in the game of bowling, Chris, every bowling lane is 60 foot long from the foul line to the head pin. And when we talk about dry, that means the conditioner or oil that's placed on the front part of the lane is just in a very light amount, so it doesn't allow the ball to skid very far. You have to throw harder.
Crossing over and not getting the ball, as you see, leaving the 6-9.
David gets a break, ball breaking sharply across the head pin, almost gets a jersey squasher, but breaks it up, leaves the 6-9.
What kind of squasher?
Well, when they cross over the jersey, not quite the Brooklyn, they push him down for a strike.
Right.
That's half the boat.
I like it. So after opening with a strike, David Houston of Milwaukee, Oregon, has marked with a spare and at the moment trails by 10 pins. If you just joined us, he won the first game over Frank Ellenberg, 269 to 200. Ellenberg taking home a check for $5,000. The winner of the United States Open here in Houston will receive $21,000. Michelle. Okay, striking the third frame for David Houston. Charlie Tapp.
Tapp and Houston so much alike in style, but not in release. Charlie Tapp, the down and in player, as you see the statistics on Charlie, 6'5", 200. And I'm glad he's not home right now. St. Paul's a little cold, but Charlie throws a down and in shot, almost straight ball, and David Houston revs it up, as they say on the tour, throws the pretty good size hook, but they're both playing around the third arrow or 15th board on the lane.
Your home St. Louis isn't necessarily green, is it?
We'll check it out in a little while.
All right, there's a 3-6 for Charlie Tapp, who last week served as alternate for the championship round, the round that I missed. And I want to thank the squire from Racine, Wisconsin, or Ohio, David Dials, for filling in.
He did a great job, and his humor is always enjoyed by all of us. He's quite a guy. Cross lane for the 3-6. You have to watch for chopping spares when the back ends of the lane are dry. You have to throw a little harder.
All right, so Tapp opened with a double and marked with a spare. Before competition got underway, we asked him about averaging 192.
I averaged 192 in the first round, and I was using a soft ball. And I seen that the lanes were hooking a little bit more, so I I drilled up a couple of hard balls, changed some finger pitches and some weights, and the next thing you know, everything fell together, and here I am.
I guess so. Leading by 8, spare working. This is the 4th frame of our second game. A 4-pin.
It's the first time anybody's left the 4-pin and didn't actually trip it out with a 2-pin. Charlie hasn't gotten the good break that everybody else got on that hit. He carried this hit in the first frame, 2-pin to the sideboard, knocked out the 4-7. This time it just hits the 7-pin.
Up and warming up to meet the winner of this game is the great Earl Anthony. Charlie Tapp. Rather short approach. All right. Beautifully done. Great form. 7-pin lead by Charlie Tapp. We're in our second game. Right now there's a pause in the action here at the Big Texan Lanes in Houston. We'll take a break and then come back. All right, we're in Houston, Texas. Bowling Proprietors Association of America, 4,200 members. Their United States Open, the first of 3 big ones on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Next one will be in Toledo, Ohio, where there's tremendous bowling interest. There is here in Houston, Texas, too. Houston, trailing by 7, 4th frame, has a strike up. He can take the lead. He does. Okay, with that strike, let's go down to another approach and Bo Burton.
Thank you, Chris. Earl, you surprised at the scoring so far out there?
I definitely am, Bo. I didn't expect the scores to be this high. They haven't been all week. You can tell when these guys get on TV and go after money. They really get pumped up.
Earl, you have another little message for us.
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to a guy in the hospital in Cleveland who's not feeling real well right now. I hope he gets better. Nathan Kinney. Hope he enjoys the telecast, and I hope he feels better and can come to some of the tournaments in the Ohio area.
Chris, a real champion always thinking about the other guy, Earl Anthony.
How true. David Houston. He wanted that one badly, giving him a double and giving him the lead by 13. All right. That's what they can do. Talk about comeback artists. We have a lot of members of the Professional Bowlers Association. Now, let's see what Charlie Tapp can do. He's had 2. He opened with a double and then 2 spares. And now he is in the 5th frame as our Rolaids tip of the week 3-9-3, 9-10 split coming after this game. There you are. 6'5" Charlie Tapp, who averaged 204 on this championship pair.
Scoreboard tells a story. Tapp trailing by 13, and Charlie runs with a group of players out here that are really good physical condition guys. Tommy Baker, who we've seen quite a few times on the telecast, and the jovial Joe Hutchinson and Charlie Tapp all travel together, all stay in real good shape, so he can definitely go the distance. He knows how to do it.
Okay, now with the strike here on the left lane in the 6th frame, he can cut the lead to 3. Don't forget the Rolaids tip of the week following us, the 3-10 and the 3-9-10 as we replay the stroke.
The hit that Don Carter made so famous. The love tap, 6 off the 10. The 6 lays in the channel, see it hit down the channel, then gets the little tap on the 10. What a great break at a crucial time.
Leading by 3, but can go back to 13 with a strike in the 6th frame. He has strung 3 now here in our second game. The winner to meet Earl Anthony, the winner of that semifinal game to meet Gil Sliker. Pressure on, and Houston, who had that 269 in the first game, has now strung 4.
And you saw 2 Mrs. Houstons in that picture, David's mother and David's wife, as he just ripped the 5 into the 4-7. This week, as we try to report every week, we're using 3-pound 5 and 3-pound 6-ounce pins. The Pro Bowlers Tour always use the pins that the normal league bowlers use in the particular center that we're bowling in.
Look at that concentration. first victory, 269 to 200. He had 10 strikes. We have a capacity house here at the Big Texan Lanes. There's the proprietor talking to Houston as we'll take a break and then return. We're back again in Houston, the United States Open. We are live. We're in our second game, another exciting one. David Houston is leading this man, Charlie Tapp, by 23 pins. Charlie has a double-up shooting in the 7th frame on the right lane now. There you see last year and then this week. And the average on the championship pair on which the U.S. Open is contested. Now he has a lead of 7 pins.
Charlie Tapp's 6'5", 5-step delivery, just short, methodical steps. Everything in real good position, shoulder high arm swing, good follow through right near the foul line. Didn't really get a good break on that ball. The head pin went to the sideboard, took out the 4-5, but left the 7.
That's a spare for Charlie in the 7th frame here of our second game. He's earned $10,130 or 10th on the money list here early in 1982 as an alternate. Last week, 3 weeks ago, he placed 5th in the Showboat Invitational, losing the opening game to Steve Martin. Houston shaking his head and exhaling for some reason.
Studying the scoreboard.
The bucket, 2, 4, 5, 8.
The ball sliding just by the pocket area, head pin going to the sideboard, takes out the 7, but leaves a 2, 4, 5, 8 bucket, and really one of the tough spares that players have to contend with when the lanes are hooking very sharply as they are today. Have to use a lot of extra speed and still carry out the back double wood 8 pin.
Look how carefully they position themselves. Looking at that spot out on the lane. Nope. Leaving the 8. And that doesn't help morale.
We said he had to use the extra speed to cut down the hook. He cut it down, but he didn't carry the back double wood 8 pin. We just talked about that. He knocks out the 2, 4, 5, leaves the 8. The door is wide open for young David Houston.
David Houston, 16 of 19 strikes. That's great. Houston, the winner of this game, will meet Earl Anthony.
Another solid hit, all 10 in the pit. David uses all the approach, a 5-step delivery, very similar to Marshall Holman's, the defending U.S. Open champion. And that tremendous extension, you see how his body extends through the shot. His follow-through is almost 5 feet out over the lane. Very important when the lanes are hooking.
18 of 21 that we're in our second game. And David Houston checks his family, gives them a smile, because the highest finish thus far this year for him was 10th in Las Vegas.
Personable Charlie Tapp. He really is a funny guy. He knows what's happened. The best he can do is 221 in normal circumstances. That'd be great. But David Houston has a possible 280 following up the 269 he had in the first match. It looks like he's going on to meet bowling's all-time greatest, Earl Anthony.
And, of course, still snickering from Tapp's sense of humor. Yep, 3, 6, 10.
Well, that shot emphasizes what can happen if you just ease up when the lanes are in this top competitive shape where you really have to put some steam on the ball. Charlie just stroked that down very relaxed, had no control of the ball, but this is somewhat like the bowling tip of the week we have this week, Chris. The 3-10 is our baby split tip. There's the 3-6-10, almost the same shot.
That'll be coming up following this game. another open frame. Sort of frustrating here in the second game for Big Charlie Tapp of South St. Paul, Minnesota. With Houston the winner, don't have the final score yet. We'll bring that to you. We're going to take this break and return for Houston Earl Anthony. And here in Houston, Texas, another big game for Dave Houston of Oregon. This time a 258 in defeating Charlie Tapp, who shot a 189. Now, it'll be Earl Anthony against David Houston. But before that, Nelson Burton has a tip for you that will help your game, I'm sure. It's a tip on the 310, the baby split, and the 3-9-10. So watch, because Bo's a great instructor. Here it is.
The Professional Bowling Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
Today's tip involves the most common split combination in the game of bowling, the 3-10 baby split and its sister split, the 3-9-10 double wood combination. The 3-10 split is also the easiest to convert in bowling. This is a normal angle and opening as seen from the right side of the approach. On the left, the shorter line indicates the decreased angle when rolling from the left side of the lane. Rolling from the left side gives the bowler the best chance for conversion of the 3-10. In order to convert the 3-9-10 sister combination, there's one thing you have to remember. Move to the right on the approach. This reduces the angle on the 3-9-10 and also reduces the deflection as the ball enters and carries out the 3, 9, and 10 pins. You must move to the right on the approach and move your target to the extreme right on the lane, because it is impossible to consistently carry out the double wood 9-pin without reducing the angle. So the thing to remember in today's tip is for the 3-10 baby split, play it from the left. For the sister split, the 3-9-10 double wood combination, play it from the right.
We asked Roger Staubach to...
While the bowlers continue to practice, we look at the stats that we have for the 1982 U.S. Open. Total purse, $131,000, a field of 240 players, 96 amateurs, 144 pros, 60 places they paid, 200 average to get in the money, top 24, 205 average this week. Here's some of the other players. Ringner, Murdishaw, a real good-looking young player. Albee bowling better than I've ever seen him bowl. As we go through the field, Victone, we saw at the Quaker State. Janello, third week in a row. Real nice guy, Sam Zurich. Guppy Troop, our leading money winner so far this year on the tour. Kenny Hall from New York. Peter McCordick from Texas. Joe Hutchinson, Charlie Tapp's buddy. Mark Ross, 16th place this week. Hanley, the cranker. Robinson, steady as ever. Moore and Cox, the only league bowler to make the top 24 and 20th. Our statistician, Durbin, another Texan Denton in there. Barry Washasky, and Bruce Carter round out the top 24.
All right, here's our match number 3, the semifinal on the left. The winningest of all time, Earl Anthony. But he has yet to win the United States Open. He's won the PBA National. He's won the Firestone, and he's going against a bowler who's red hot, 263 average in 2 games with a total of 19 strikes. He's 21. He's been a PBA member for 4 years. No titles. Well, this time leaving the 2-7.
We talk about the psychology of bowling as we see Houston sliding by on the left-hand lane, leaving the 2-7 split. It makes a big difference, Chris, who you're playing against. And until you stood on that approach against Earl Anthony and bowled in the championship round, you really don't know what pressure is. Let's see how David Houston holds up in this important match.
2-7, the odds for professional 2-1. Here's his attempt. That'll help him converting a split in the very first frame, and this is his 3rd game. Watch again.
The ball breaking over there for the right-hander is an easy split to convert. It's almost like shooting the 4-7 spare. Hit the 2-pin, let the ball take out the 7.
Now Earl Anthony, who will become the first $1 million earning in bowling. He's 39,000 away coming into this match. And he leaves the 6-pin on the right lane.
Earl said that both lanes are about the same for him. He's going to play the same type of line he played all week, the outside trajectory right near the left channel, and a nice, smooth, even roll.
Look at that, 13 years, a PBA member, and averaging nearly 3 victories a year. So it is a spare, and we are even after 1 frame, and there's Susie, Earl's wife.
Chris, the U.S. Open is probably one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, of the Triple Crown victories because it is the oldest. It started back in 1942. It's fitting it should be held here in Texas. 4 Texans have won it over the years. Buddy Bomar in 1945, Bill Millard in 1956, the great Billy Whaley in 59, and Bobby Cooper in 1970.
All right, leaving the 7. Big crowd here today with sort of mixed emotions. They have really chosen up sides and are rooting for individual bowlers. I noticed one group that were sort of negative toward Earl in that last frame. He noticed it too and gave him a dirty look.
Well, he lets his bowling ball change the crowd around sometimes.
Yes. Fortunately, it hooked too much on him, and he now has an open frame in the 2nd.
The one danger you have of a dry lane is you have to use a lot of ball speed to keep the look at his eyes. He can't believe it. He knew it when he let go. He knows that lane's dry. Earl does not throw as hard as these other players. He has that short, methodical backswing. The ball just slid by. Susie Anthony shows her dismay.
All right, leaving the 6-10 on the right lane, David Houston, who had a 269 as we look at his mom on the right and his wife, Michelle, with the bow by the blouse.
Both players in this match using a 15-pound bowling ball. The 16 is the maximum you can use. They're both using 15 to get in a little extra speed. It's a lighter to throw.
All right, the man that had 2 games of 269 and 258, defeating Frank Ellenberg and Charlie Tapp, now has 2 spares.
The action line tracer, you can see the deep inside line that Houston uses at the 610, plus how he kills the ball. You see, you don't see that sharp break. And does it perfect. Try to cover both pins with the ball. When you have a split, a spare you could possibly chop.
Man that had 19 strikes, looking for his first. And gets it all the way across the lane to take out the 10. A replay.
The hit that won George Pappas the Firestone one year. The head pin goes to the sideboard. Now watch it. Follow it. Goes to the left sideboard. And here it comes all the way back across. Knocks out the 10.
Pin that has to travel a long way in order to do that.
You can only carry that on light plastic pins.
Earl leaves the 10 pin on the right lane.
Earl in the pocket all 3 shots. Left the 6 pin the first frame on the right-hand lane. The 7 pin, which he went by in the 2nd frame. And the wall shot 10 pin here in the 3rd. Has had no good breaks so far.
Earl here for the first time trying to win the United States Open, having his troubles here in our semi-final game. And the winner of this match will then go on to meet Gil Sliker.
Here's Earl Anthony's strategy on the championship here. As you can see on lane 23, he's going to play it just as he did all week, outside near the channel. On lane 24, the same thing. He said if he gets in a little trouble near the end of the match, he might try a new ball.
Next week at the Dick Weber lanes, Earl will be the defending champion of the Rolaids Open. Finally gets one. Getting it in the 4th frame. 10 pins separating these two. The semifinal match pivotal for both bowlers. We're going to take a break as Houston is meeting Anthony. We'll return to bring you more live action. What tremendous variety on Wide World of Sports coming up next. Men's World Downhill Skiing Championship. Same-day coverage, and the United States National Figure Skating Championships. men's competition, and ice dancing. That's next. And next here, the Big Texan Lanes in Houston, Texas, in the United States Open, David Houston, who had a 269 in the first game, a 258 in the second, has a 10-pin lead, can increase it to 20. He has a strike working, shooting now in the fourth. Yes, oh, he isn't wilting at all.
Mother and wife approve of that shot, and Houston is just awesome when he can keep that ball thin in the pocket, drive the 5 over into the 4-7 area. He has a tremendous revolution on the ball, upwards to 15 or 16 revolutions as the ball leaves his hand from the foul line to the pit, and that's what gets the great connection.
He's not only out bowling everyone here, he's out familying everybody. He's got all the family here.
His dad's here. His dad was a great bowler in the 50s and 60s and a bowling proprietor in the Milwaukee, Oregon area.
They call him Champ. And he gets another one. This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
KSTP-TV, St. Paul, Minneapolis, Channel 5.
We're back again. Now Earl Anthony, who needs to string him against this red-hot David Houston. Strike up. Must in the 5th. Ouch. A 6-pin.
It's amazing how Earl is just snake-bit in this event. He's won 6 jewels in the Triple Crown, but has never completed the Triple Crown with a win in the U.S. Open. He is bowling's all-time leader in that category, followed by Don Carter with 5, but he has never won the U.S. Open.
All right. And the man that already has a win this year, 2 weeks ago at the Alameda Open. Earlier, we asked Earl why we're seeing so many new young players this year.
I believe the reason we've seen such a turnover and such a great number of new young players on the telecast is the change in lane conditions. We've been bowling on what the players would call a very difficult condition, a very hooking condition. And a lot of the players haven't made the adjustment yet, a lot of the top players that you've seen in the past. And at this point, because of that, the young players that throw hard are going to
And thinking he might get it, 6 frame, leaving the 10-pin.
As Earl said in his earlier comment, the young players are tough to beat on the hooking condition. Wife Susie looks on. Earl Anthony in the pocket every single shot. 6 balls. The only one that was perfectly solid was in the 4th frame where he struck. All the rest have been about in the pocket. He could have a better fortune.
One of those days in Houston, Texas. Earl Anthony, victories in Triple Crown events. 6, Don Carter 5, Dick Weber 4, Dave Davis 4, Petraglia and Hardwick 3-3, because they have won all 3. This, the U.S. Open, the PBA National, and Firestone. Leading by 31. Wow.
Bowling's 3 majors, a young 21-year-old on his way.
David Houston.
The action line tracer shows that David Houston hasn't varied his line in the matches so far. He's still around that 3rd arrow, maintaining that speed and just overpowering every opponent. He now has Anthony with that swisher strike there, down 41 pins through 6 frames, can make it 51 with another strike.
He has stroked 23 strikes. Well, 3, 6, 9, 10.
The first one that has gotten away from David really bad. He cuts right through, avoids the split, but has left a really tough spare. 3, 6, 9, 10, Chris. I think the pros would say that is the toughest, most common tough spare they get.
Okay, let's see what 21-year-old David does as 43-year-old Earl Anthony looks on.
The 9-pin, Chris. The ball didn't look like it did it.
Look at Mom. She doesn't believe it either. I tell you, when things are going right, they go right.
John DeLisa, our director, will show us why it happened. There it is. The ball just nicked the 9-pin. What a great break.
3, 5, 6, 9, 10.
Shoot the half for Earl. He's got the what they call the loaf of bread for the right-hander. Steady Earl Anthony. We've all seen this profile many times. He has the short backswing, though, which is really against his natural style when you have a dry lane condition such as this. Let's see if we can convert this tough spare.
Oh, yes. I don't recall ever seeing that on our telecast. Maybe it did happen, but nevertheless, they're gone now.
Scoreboard shows Anthony trailing by 42. Susie knows the situation. Earl is in a must-strike situation. He has a possible 2-12 game. He would force Houston to at least mark in the last 3 frames if he can get striking.
All right, leaving the 7-pin on the left lane. In this game, he has 1 strike. He has an open frame.
He's only missed the pocket 1 time in the whole match, and that was that 5-pin count. And the reason Earl is not carrying the pins with that soft speed, his ball is what we kind of say rolling out. It's kind of losing its momentum as it enters the pins because of lack of speed, and it affects your carry.
All right. A spare in the 8th. Next week, we'll be in Florissant, Missouri, suburb of St. Louis. Rolaids Open, Dick Weber Lanes. And then 2 weeks from today, back to Peoria, that River City, for the True Value Open. Then the PBA National Championship in Toledo, the 27th, followed by the Greater Miami Open. David Houston, who won the first 2 games, has left the 10-pin on the right lane in the lead over the great Earl Anthony.
Houston just has to mark in these last couple of frames to go on to the championship round against Gil Sliker. And Chris, looking at that graph with Miami, I think the players after that swing up north are going to be glad to get to the sunshine.
And it comes back beautifully to cover the 10. So if David can go on and win, he will meet another non-winner of a PBA title, and they will be shooting for the U.S. Open championship.
Houston, game well in hand, would knock out Bo Bowden, another Texan, out of the Firestone Tournament of Champions if Sliker or Houston wins the final match.
Well, leaving the bucket 245 on the left lane. Replay of that shot.
Sliding by. 2 pins to the sideboard, just nicks the 7 out, or he'd have had the same thing for a right-hander that Earl had for a left-hander in the 7th frame. The low for half, as they call it. He needs to convert this spare and stay behind the foul line to shut out Earl Anthony. If he misses it, Earl still has a chance.
Okay, with a lot of power, a lot of speed, marking with that spare in the foundation frame. And I guess it is a little foggy for Earl Anthony today.
Chris, not many viewers would notice it, but Earl Anthony noticed it. That spare that Houston made in the 7th frame and the one he made again in the 9th frame on that, where the pin carried out the back pin, the 8 pin that time, have been very lucky to keep him in the match. He's got it won now, though.
You won't see many Earl Anthony games bowled where he has had 1 strike up to this point.
Earl with the 5, 6, 10 standing, the headpin comes to sideboard, knocks out the 6. Normally, if we would say the ball wasn't rolling out because of the dry lane condition, would have carried that out. Earl would have to develop more speed in order to keep the ball in contention.
That shows you that the great professional that he is converting the 5-10. Well, a moment of greatness right there. Only perfect in converting that ball.
Well, he has 1 chance, and that's if he strikes out and Houston doesn't show up.
Yeah. All right, the floating is only his 2nd strike in the semifinal game. He is meeting a young tiger, 21-year-old David Houston. But the problem is that having won 2 jewels of the Triple Crown and never this one, you know, you can only try it once a year.
Earl with a possible 189, but if you look back at the game, he really only made one errant shot out of the first 11 balls he's throwing down here, and that was the 5-pin count he got in the 7th frame. Really, Earl has had misfortune in this tournament. Bowled a good game. He's still only going to be in the 180s.
All right. Disappointing 188 for Earl Anthony here, going against David Houston. Refreshing David Houston from Milwaukee, Oregon. And there he knocks them all down again, David Houston. And of course, he will be meeting Gil Sliker for the United States Open Championship. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and station identification. Match now. David Houston, who's averaging 252, 3 games, 3 victories, goes against Gil Sliker for the United States Open title. 2 non-winners going for that prestigious award. Here they are. That is Sliker on the left, and of course Houston, if you've been watching, you know about his tremendous shooting. 269, 258, 229, and eliminating Ellenberg, Tapp, and Anthony. Anthony earning $7,500. The winner of this gets 21. Runner-up, 11,000.
It's amazing that Sliker would let Houston start the match after Houston's won every match, finishing on the right-hand lane.
And that's the way he loves to start. David Houston. And now your first chance today to see Gil Sliker, the 31-year-old bowler who is now living in Nashua, New Hampshire. He's from Washington, New Jersey. Currently the most successful non-champion. He's bowled more games and knocked down more pins on the PBA National Tour since '78 than any other bowler. 3 second-place finishes, losing each time by less than 10 pins.
And he really is a champion in my heart, Chris. Gil, when he first came out on the tour, was his wife Crystal looks on. When he first came out on the tour, was a little skeptical about his own ability to win it. But the last 2 times he's had a chance to win, he really bowled well, shooting in the 220s, but just getting nipped out near the end.
Wobbly, but not enough.
2-pin to the sideboard, and as we often see, trips out the 4 and the 7. This time it doesn't quite get the 4-pin. Could have been a great break early in the match for Sliker.
So covers the 7, and for Sliker, a strike and a spare. Houston now has that strike working. There you see his best previous Open finish, 36th in 1980. PBA member for 4 years. Sliker has been a member for 11. There he goes to a 10-pin lead. A double.
Dave Houston just jumping all over it. Here's his power. See, this ball is only in about the 16th board. Not quite solid in the pocket, but yet he lifts that 6-pin right out of the channel, bumps out the 10, has an early lead.
This young man should come to your town. I know you wouldn't want to bowl against him, even, but I might give you a tip. He's also a 5-handicap golfer. You might eat your lunch on the golf course, too.
He was an excellent high school basketball player, too.
Look at him. Oh, youth. 3 in a row.
Well, you can see the athletic ability. Look at those eyes. He just stares those pins down. He is ready, and he came to play. He's well-trained, and he has an excellent bowler in Gil Sliker with his back to the wall.
And a bucket on the right lane, 2-4-5-8.
Sliker not getting all of the ball as he lifts through. He's been sitting over for an hour now, and he's not quite warmed up. You need the speed and power on this pair. Gil kind of dominated this field all week long for 56 games, but right now he has his back to the wall. And you hear that little popping as his fingers coming out of the ball, Chris. He uses very tight finger holes.
Okay. Strike and 2 spares and trailing by 24. Houston, his opponent, has 3 in a row. We are in our United States Open Championship game. 1 game, head-to-head, 2 non-winners. We had that happen once before this year, 2 non-winners in the finals, Jim Miller and Pete Weber. Miller winning.
The 4th week out of 5 that we will crown a new champion. We said at the beginning of the year we'll see some different faces. We've definitely seen them in the month of January.
There, he had a good hit. A strike for Gil Sliker. We're running a little bit behind, so we're going to leave the live action, bring you back up to date as soon as we return, which will be very, very soon. Oh, when you're hot, you're hot. The man that just seated the 4th frame of strike, the 5th frame of strike, he has 5 in a row here in this championship match against Gil Sliker, who has a strike up in the 4th, now shooting in the 5th frame.
Gil Sliker just can't seem to generate the speed here in this championship match. Going high, leaving the 3-6-10, really has his back to the ball. Even with a conversion here, he will trail by 44 pins through 5 frames. Let's face it, David Houston has been totally dominating so far, Chris.
All right. Chopping the 6 and the 10 off the 3. It is an open frame. Replay.
Overcaution is the word for this shot. He knows the lane is breaking very sharp, and he just lets it slide by. He gave it too much room. A style you'll see a lot more of. Gil Sliker, ideal position. Just lets it go. Nice, smooth, good knee bend, but didn't get the desired result on that shot.
All right, getting a strike in the 6th frame of this championship game. Gil's first opportunity to be a tournament leader. There's his lovely wife, Crystal. And David Houston now will be up and stroking.
This man has maintained the speed. Over the years, we've seen a ball speed of about 18 miles an hour winning major championships. This young man has maintained close to 20 miles an hour all day long and shows no sign of weakening.
Halfway, 6 in a row. Coming into this match, he had bowled 26 strikes. Now he's added 6 more.
The hit we've seen so often today by young David Houston, still right over that 3rd arrow, just sawing that 5 right out. Perfect position for that power ball he has.
Left lane. Count them, 7 in a row. Title game, U.S. Open.
Chris, remember the performance by Steve Cook in the 3rd jewel of the Triple Crown last year, the Firestone, as he opened with 10 in a row. I thought that was the greatest performance I'd ever seen in the Pro Bowlers Tour. David Houston has a chance to eclipse that performance.
Well, some consolation, trailing by 76 to put together a double for Gil Sliker.
Sliker, trailing by 66, has an outside chance to still win this match, but he must strike on every ball from here on in.
All right, leaving the 3-6 and hearing that thumb popping coming out of the bowling ball hole, our longtime audio engineer, I think he needed a rest, so he went into the hospital for an operation. We're kidding. Jack Brandis is not here today because recovering from surgery. We wish him well. Hope he gets back soon. But another member of the varsity has taken his place, Jimmy Davis.
Gil getting a break, just knocking the 3-6 off, but he's actually just trying to get out of the way of young David Houston. Turn to bowl. He's got 7 in a row.
8th frame. right, stopped at 7. No harm, he says.
Just the first time the light hit has failed David Houston. He just rips the rack out, leaves the 10-pin, and you saw that man in the back standing up. That was his pop, Chris.
Yep, champ, Houston. Big thrill to see a family, to see a son perform with such excellence through all the games.
Well, I think that nickname of champ is going to pass on down through a generation right here.
Well, high hit, leaving the 610 on the left lane. We're in our championship match from Big Texan Lanes in Houston.
David knows he has it won, just eased up.
Foundation frame spare for David Houston, who is leading by 65 pins. We'll take a break and then return to Houston after this. All right, we're back again at Big Texan Lanes. There you see the final score, another big game for 21-year-old Dave Houston, 255 to 180. Here he is. Congratulations.
I don't know what to say, Chris. I've waited for this day for so long. I'd like to thank my wife and my parents and everybody. It's the happiest day of my life.
Who's the tall fellow over there?
That's my little brother.
Oh, little brother. Boy, it helps to have a cheering section, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does. I just love them all.
You had a 253 average.
I don't know what to say. I just went out there and I changed a few things this week, and everything worked out great.
All right, now that you're the United States Open champion for 1982, Bill Lacey, president of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, with a comment.
Thank you, Chris. Dave, on behalf of the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, it's a great pleasure to give you this check for $21,000. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lacey. And everybody in the BPAA, Mr. Jamie Brooks, everybody here at Big Texan Lanes, I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Without her, you wouldn't be here. Mom, come here. I want to talk to you. Come here. You're one of the biggest fans I've ever seen of any professional athlete. What was it like?
What like?
You know, we're in Houston, Texas. Your son has just won the United States Open. Do you have anything to say to America?
Well, I'm just so thrilled. We've been waiting a long time. It's a dream come true. We knew it would happen, and I'm just thrilled it's here in Texas.
All right. So we have champ number 2 in the family.
Well, there's only one champ. There's only one champ.
That's the man that sired him, right? Okay. There they are, the Houston family, Bill Lacey, Bowling Proprietors Association of America. Congratulations again. So, once again, the winner of the BPA United States Open, David Houston, 255 to 180. Stay tuned next over most of these stations for ABC's Wide World of Sports. Today, it's the World Men's Skiing Championship from Schladming, Austria, and the United States National Figure Skating Championships from